Once upon a time, in India, or so the ancient scriptures say, there was a handsome prince who fell in love with a beautiful goddess. But fate held a cruel surprise. One day, after the prince had been swimming in the sea, the goddess caught him unaware and unclothed. "Look at yourself," she said. "You are neither man nor woman. You are no use to me." And the handsome prince was cast out from society. Many people claim to be descended from that prince. Neither male nor female. They are the Hijra, the eunuchs of India. There are 10 Hijras living here in this one room. Meena plays camp mum. It's her house. She does the cooking, looks after the books.
हम भी बेटी बनाना मांगता ना, इसलिए मैं क्या बोला मुरली से गाँव से लेकर 4 जनों को मिलेकर बेटी तू मेरे पास आओ.
The term eunuch is misleading. Few Hijras are actually castrated. Some are born with physically indeterminate sex. Some are just boys who, for whatever reason, want to be girls. But each of the Hijra has a tale to tell.
हमको सोसाइटी में इज्जत नहीं रहेगा तो हमारा घर में नहीं रहना. तुम किधर भी चले जाओ बोलकर हमारा माँ बाप खुद बोले तो हम निकल कर आना पड़ा.
Having a Hijra child means that your other children will be less attractive as a marriage partner. Many Indian families figure it's just better to get rid of them. That's what happened to Radhika. She was thrown out of home as a child.
बहुत दुख हुआ.
These are girls who can't resist a chance to strut their stuff. Despite the tragedy of their alienation, at the end of the day, these are just girls who want to have fun.
Mona Ahmed is a living taboo.
If I had another life, then I would just pray to God and ask Him to make me either a complete man or a complete woman, and not a mixture, not an in-between. This life is no life.
Mona belongs to a group known in India as Hijras, or eunuchs. Indians consider Hijras to be an entirely separate gender. Like most eunuchs, Mona was born physically male, but in her heart she felt very different.
From the soul that is within me, I have always felt like a girl, and I had never considered myself a boy.
To find a place in society, Mona embraced her only real option. She joined the eunuchs. In India, more than 500,000 eunuchs live on the fringes of society. Over time, they forged their own families with values and rules of conduct. Today, Mona is going to visit her eunuch family. She's partly supported by her 2 disciples, Nergis and Sonam.
We don't have any children of our own, so these are our children.
Mona dreams of a day when Indians see her as more than just a eunuch, but a complete person.
I wish everyone would consider us as humans and not think of us as a third sex. Why should they do that?
Until that day, India's eunuchs will continue as they have for generations, living taboo lives, singing, dancing, and surviving.
मैं पूजा पाठ वाली नहीं है, तुम लोग पता नहीं है।
इनमें से कौन सा गिरिया पसंद है?
मैं इसी के गिरिया का, मेरे गिरिया का सेवन में किसी गिरी का पसंद नहीं करता। मैं ये मेरी जिंदगी।
अभी भी कहोगे ये जिंदगी ऐसी है भाव, हिजड़ों में जब से मर भी जाऊंगे ना, जब ये हड्डियां तो दिख जाती हैं हिजड़ों में, तो ऐसी बात नहीं।
एक हिजड़े और आदमी का रिश्ता वैसा ही होता है जैसे आदमी और आदमी का रिश्ता,
दुआया और आदमी का रिश्ता है।
मजा आता है, आदमी को भी मजा आता है, हमें भी मजा आता है, मजे मजे में पूरा ले लेती हूँ मैं तो।
आपको कभी ये डर नहीं लगता कि आपका जो पति है वो किसी औरत से शादी कर लेगा?
नहीं, मैं आज भी राजी, मैं खमा रखा रहा।
लेकिन तब भी
खुद मेरे को
एक प्यार हो जाता है तो
मेरे को कुछ देखो, प्यार तो ऐसा है, प्यार के पीछे दूसरे की जिंदगी बर्बाद करने के लिए मेरे प्यार में करके दूसरे की जिंदगी बर्बाद नहीं करना, मैं करूंगा भी नहीं।
तो आप अगर शादी करना चाहते हैं आपके वो, तो आप शादी करने देंगे उन्हें?
ना, मैं तो कह रहा अभी कर ले। मेरे नाक कल्लाऊंगा तक उतार के तेरे बहू को डाल दूंगा।
आप उसके साथ रहोगे कि छोड़ दोगे आदमी को?
नहीं छोड़ूंगा तो ही रहेगा, मैं कसम खा के उसके साथ आया।
That's environment, but that's not the only environment. There's also the environment that happens to us while we're in the womb. And scientists are realizing that environment is much more important than we ever thought it was.
And this newborn rat pup, oddly enough, may hold important clues to what happens in the womb. Dr. Mark Breedlove at Michigan State University says he can take this male rat and make it behave like a female for the rest of its life, and vice versa for a female, just by altering the hormones it's exposed to right at birth. Because rats are born underdeveloped, that's roughly the same as altering a third trimester human fetus in the womb. But first, he said, I'd need a crash course in rat sex.
He's a Romeo.
He's Romeo. Ooh, look at him. Male rats like Romeo mount any rat that comes their way. In the mating process, the female, that's her being dropped on top of him, performs something called lordosis, where she lifts her head and rump. Now, what if Romeo here goes after a male?
The male will seem profoundly indifferent.
But Breedlove says he can change all that. He gave this female rat a single shot of the male sex hormone testosterone at birth. Now grown up, she will never perform lordosis. But this male rat will. Take a look. He was castrated at birth, depriving him of testosterone. So you created a gay rat.
I wouldn't say that these are gay rats, but I will say that these are genetic male rats who are showing much more feminine behavior.
So this could be the answer to the genetic question. It may not be genes. It could be hormones.
That's exactly the question that we're all wondering, this business of testosterone having such a profound influence. Does that have some relevance to humans?
While biologists look at hormones for answers about human sexuality, other scientists are looking for patterns in statistics. And hard as this is to believe, they have found something they call the older brother effect.
The more older brothers a man has, the greater that man's chance of being gay.
What? Say that again?
The more older brothers a man has, the greater the likelihood that that man will be gay.
Is that true?
That is absolutely true.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
If this comes as a shock to you, you're not alone. But it turns out it's one of the most solid findings in this field, demonstrated in study after study. And the numbers are significant. For every older brother a man has, his chances of being gay increase by 1/3. Older sisters make no difference, and there's no corresponding effect for lesbians. A firstborn son has about a 2% chance of being gay, and the numbers rise from there. The theory is it happens in the womb.
Somehow, the mother's body is remembering how many boys she's carried before. The favorite hypothesis is that the mother may be making antibodies when she sees a boy the first time and then affect subsequent boys when she carries them in utero.
You mean like she's carrying a foreign
substance.
And if you think about it, a woman who's carrying a son for the first time, she is carrying a foreign substance.
Yeah.
There are some proteins encoded on his Y chromosome that her body has never seen before, and that her immune system would be expected to regard as invaders. And
so that's a theory.
That's the theory.
Scientists have recently noticed a striking statistical phenomenon. Studies show that having older brothers increases the odds of a boy being homosexual.
Moms always baby the youngest, making them gay.
No, that's not it. When a woman is pregnant with a boy, scientists are realizing that her female body often sees the male fetus as a foreign object and begins to produce antibodies against it. The more boys a woman has, the more adept her body becomes at feminizing the fetus, which may explain why with every successive boy, the odds that he will be gay go up significantly.
I want to expand people's vision of what sexuality involves in both animals and people. I want to show that there's a wide variety of non-reproductive sexual behaviors that go on in the animal world, both heterosexual and homosexual. Homosexuality, homosexual behavior is a stigmatized topic to look at within the field of zoology. It's not considered legitimate in a lot of ways. If what appears to be sexual behavior is seen outside of a reproductive context, then its sexual aspects are denied because it's problematic to say that this is sexual behavior if it's not serving some other function. And this interacts with the whole question of sexual pleasure because the idea of animals experiencing pleasure or engaging in sex for pleasure has been a very difficult one for scientists to come to terms with. Even in a heterosexual context, scientists, for example, denied the existence of female orgasm in non-human animals until it was proved, quote-unquote proved, by various means, by implanting electrodes in female monkeys' uterus to, monitor contractions and so on. And so pleasure or evidence of pleasure is assumed not to exist unless proven otherwise. What I'm calling homosexual behavior actually falls into 5 different categories: courtship, affection, sexual behavior, pair bonding, and parenting. And usually we find a combination of these behaviors in the same species, so you'll get sexual behavior accompanied by pair bonding, or courtship with affectionate behaviors and co-parenting and so on. Often when same-sex activity is discussed, either in the scientific literature or in the more popular discourse, it's presented as something of an exception, something very puzzling. What I'm trying to say in the book is not that these behaviors don't serve social functions or that they can have non-sexual purposes, but that doesn't cancel out its sexual aspect. So if we think about a sexual interaction in people, or a heterosexual interaction, for example, it can have many different meanings. It can serve a variety of social purposes in addition to being pleasurable or not. Bonobos have one of the most varied sexual repertoires of any species, engaging in a wide variety of both homosexual and heterosexual activities, from oral sex to manual stimulation of the genitals, masturbation, mounting of various types, genital rubbing between females and males, and so on. A wide variety of homosexual activities are also found in orangutans. These include things like fellatio between male orangutans, genital fondling between female orangutans. Anal intercourse sometimes occurs between males, especially younger males. And homosexual behavior sometimes occurs in the context of a special bonding or friendship-like association between two younger animals who may travel together over a few days. And this can also include affectionate behaviors such as kissing and hugging and so on between the two partners.